Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you guys do well. Thanks for joining today. We are on the KCS Greenville Sub for a long-anticipated next build video. This will be number 13, I believe, if I did my math right. I'll make sure the right number is in the title, but I may eat those words. It might be 14, but I really think it's 13. Anyways, I had a choice. I could either continue east from staging and head towards Sulphur Springs, then over to Pittsburg and Hugh Springs, which is in fact what I ended up doing here. Or the other option was to start over in Hugh Springs and head west. I had already written a plan for everything I wanted to build, but I knew that honestly there would end up being a considerable amount of deviation, partly because some of the area where I had planned all this out, I already had deviated. So yeah, anyways, it is what it is. So this is Sulphur Springs, and this is going to be the single most individually busy section of the entire railroad. And that's because on the KCS Greenville Sub, there are small industries here and there along the line, but there is a lot of action in Sulphur Springs. I mean, there's also a decent amount of action in Greenville, but the action in Sulphur Springs is only KCS and the Blacklands Railroad, which I am going to model the interchange of the Blacklands Railroad. So if you want to get more details on how I'm going to do that later, that will be a JMRI video actually, because I want to talk about how you can create an alternate form of staging. But you're going to see me kind of scramble here. I was trying to get my aisle measurements right. I realized that I had already measured out 3 feet before, so I compromised. It does make me redo a little bit of track work, but it's nothing too ridiculous. Just trying to get a good feel for everything. I will be honest, I held this video off for a while because I just was having a hard time mentally getting an idea of just how I wanted to do this. It's one of those things like, I know I can, I've got a plan. That rhymed. But, you know, the reality was I just knew that I would have to change the plan. And I knew that there would be some things pop up as some challenges. And I wasn't ready yet to deal with it. But here I am today, ready to deal with it. There was a brief pause there because I was actually checking Google Maps to get a feel for the industries and whatnot that I needed to map out and get modeled and everything. So let me, while this is still going on, getting the little river crossing here set up, let me pull up the map here with the industry information. Let's see, I want to tell you a little bit about the industries as we place them. Let's see, here in Sulphur Springs, we've got 6 industries and then the interchange with the Blacklands Railroad. So the way I want to do the operation is a way freight will come from Hugh Springs to Sulphur Springs. It will work all the industries, including the Pilgrim's Pride plant in Pittsburg. But it will work all industries between there, and then it will terminate in Sulphur Springs and store itself on the siding here in town. And then the next operating day, it will run, you know, from here to Hugh Springs and then terminate. And the way I want to do it is, instead of running it to Hugh Springs and back each day, which means the train would have run each day, I want to simulate a train that doesn't run each day. And so essentially one day it'll run to Hugh Springs, the other day it'll run to Sulphur Springs. And that's going to be to simulate a freight train that, you know, services industries every other day. So, you know, like 6 days a week basically. Or sorry, 3 out of 6 days a week, excuse me. But yeah, that's the plan there. So what I'm working on right now is actually the Blacklands Railroad interchange. So I'm going to give it an interchange instead of the 3 or 4 separate industries served there, and it's just going to be one spot. So any car bound to those industries at or via Blacklands will be just interchanged over the Blacklands. And as far as the operation goes, we'll forget about it because that's kind of how it works in the real world. So it's an interesting concept to model in JMRI that I haven't ever done before, so that's why I'm going to make a video on it. But it'll actually be far more like the prototype, which is always a good thing. So also in Sulphur Springs, we've got Westway Food Products and Martindale Feed Mill and Northeast Texas Farmers Co-op. So these 3 industries, along with Blacklands, will be served by a local that runs to Hugh Springs. And then the way freight is going to work 3 other industries on the edge of Hugh Springs that I'm making right there. That's Aleph Plastics, Contech Engineering, and WePack Warehousing. So a couple of these industries that I have listed here may not necessarily have rail service, and they may not even have a track. But I chose industries that were different, unique, real, and ones that I could find information on what exactly it is that they're doing, so that I could try to model traffic flows to those industries, whether they actually receive any traffic flow from the railroad or not, because the point is to embellish a bit, have something that's creative and fun, and enjoy ourselves. So you can call it a proto freelance. But yeah, Sulphur Springs is going to be busy. So it's going to get one local each day, serves just a couple industries, and then Blacklands. And then it will get a way freight every other day, essentially. So that's going to be the plan there. All right, and then now we're going to move further to the east. This is heading towards Pittsburg and Windsboro, but it's quite a trip, so let me talk a little bit about those. So here we are working on our control point, you can call it here. There's only 2 control points on the KCS Greenville Sub that I'm modeling, and these are ones that are long enough for a 2,500 foot train to pass another one, which is the longest that will run. The locals and stuff, the most they could ever be is 1,500. But the mainline trains that come out of staging can be up to 2,500 feet, and that just simulates the fact that they sometimes run 10,000 foot trains all the way across the Greenville Sub over to Wiley or towards Shreveport. But needed to take up some space, so I built that little curve in there. And then I realized that this section of the layout right here is going to be just big enough to do exactly what I wanted, so that was exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and try to best lay out this curve. Here in Windsboro, there aren't any industries on the KCS Greenville Sub that are served. So we're just going to kind of model a little bit of the town, not too much, keep it pretty simple, and then just keep rolling through, because that's what the train is doing in the real world. I don't even remember if there's actually a siding in Windsboro, but if there's not one, then there is one here. But there I was just checking to make sure that the control point here was long enough. It definitely was not. And sticking to our 3-foot minimum radius, making sure that the inner curve has that radius. And there we go, just a little bit more is needed. So I did finally in this space figure out what I wanted to do with it. And you're going to see me start piecing it together here in just a moment. But I'm very excited about this because it's going to be the only industry on the entire railroad that receives a unit train from staging. It's going to be designed with a loop, obviously, but not a loop in the sense of what we all might expect, but rather a loop that I saw an actual modular layout at a train show, the way they modeled a massive facility that receives unit trains. And I just thought it was brilliant. And so I copied it. There's no shame in that. Yeah, I just love how it turned out. So obviously, first things first, we're going to get the main line kind of patched up through here. But now I'm laying the track for that facility. The thing is, I'm not sure what type of industry I want it to be. I do know the product I want it to consume. It's going to be an industry that consumes grain. I know that much. Problem is, I don't know, is it going to be a feed mill? Is it going to be a flour mill? I mean, it's definitely not going to be a flour mill, but as an example, is it going to be a feed mill? Is it going to be a wheat starch, corn starch, a bran mill? What in the world am I going to do with it? What kind of industry is actually going to be? So that I don't know yet. I just know I want it to be one that receives unit trains of grain. So we're going to go with that. And then this right here is the part that just blew my mind when I saw it. It's just one entry. So I'm going to be honest. When I knew I wanted to add this industry, I spent several hours modeling on paper and kind of simulating on paper different potential layouts for this industry. How to get a unit train into a loop and then easily get it to either use a tighter loop with less space or be able to easily run around. And then I figured out how to get it to be able to run around without a second track. And it's going to blow your mind. But when I finally make an operating video on this, I will, of course, demo that there and talk about it there, because I laughed at myself quite hard when I finally realized just how simple I could make the operation there. And thanks to, I forget the name of the channel. there was a YouTube channel out there that I saw where they actually showed a facility doing exactly what I'm going to simulate. And yeah, it was incredible. It was eye-opening, and I loved it. So anyways, if I remember which channel that was, or if I happen to find that video again, I'll give them a shout. I'll tag them. But that's it. That's through Windsboro. We've laid out 2 industries there between Windsboro and Pittsburg. They're both going to be worked by the way freight, one going to Sulphur Springs and then the other one the next day coming back. Those are Texas Custom Stoneworks, which right now I just have it listed as receiving cut stone. I might change my mind on that, depends. And then the other industry is Dyco Metals, which is basically a scrapyard. Don't know if, because I don't remember when I made the selection for Dyco, I don't remember if it actually has any rail service. It might not. I might have grabbed something that was just nearby. I don't remember. But and I may even be pronouncing it wrong, but it's DYCO, Dyco Metals. But yeah, really all I'm going to do here is lay out the rest of the track. This is Pittsburg right here. There's a massive industry. The Pilgrim's Pride feed mill is in Pittsburg. And I'm not quite sure how I want to model that just yet. So essentially, I'm going to get that track laid out. And then as I come back in later, I might make some small changes to it. Maybe. Maybe not. We'll see. But there is also a UP interchange that has to exist there in Pittsburg that I'll be making. And it's going to have a loop as well. So especially once I figure out what that's going to look like, I might make a few adjustments in Pittsburg. But we are pretty much getting to the end here. I'm just going to lay out some dirt and subroad bed and ballast under the track. The subroad bed, ballasty stuff I'm just going to do under the main line. And so that's why only kind of part of it's getting the gray there. One cool thing that's currently happening in my Discord is there's a guy who's working to put the NTB and the KCS Greenville Sub together. And he's doing such a great job. I would love to be able to encourage him to show that off to you all on YouTube once he's done. So stay tuned for that if you're interested, and thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.